Hello everybody and welcome to Sin City Living. My name is Jason. I'll be bringing you today's episode. As always, we want to thank all of our fans, our sponsors, our patrons. We appreciate all of your guys' support. Everyone that's bought us a cup of coffee, been greatly appreciated. We've had a rough couple of weeks here in the family, been out of work for a week and a half, coming up on 2 weeks thanks to our old friend COVID running through us. I don't want to take up a whole lot of time with the usual spiel, so all of you guys that are interested in what's going on with Sin City Living and what we plan on doing in the future with our live streams and upcoming events, please stick around to the end of the video or skip to the end of the video and watch. I will put most of that stuff in the ending spiel, and I will try and update it every week or two with more news. Otherwise, that being said, we're just going to go ahead and jump straight into today's video. So for today's video, I want to answer to an email that we received. This one is less strategy and playing dice and more dealing dice. I know we have a few people that watch our channel that are dealers, either out of state or some of them actually here in Vegas. So be happy to answer these questions from this email. Thank you very much for sending the email to us. Please, everybody, send us some emails, strategies, questions, anything you'd like to see us shoot. We love shooting that stuff. And again, thank you to all of the people that bought us coffees recently. It was a big help in our bills during January. And now moving on, we're going back into the whole coffee route. We do live and die off of caffeine. Live with caffeine, die without. Caffeine and nicotine and spite. That's what gets us through most of our shifts. So yeah, thank you very much. And also thank you to all of our patrons. We appreciate every single one of you guys. And we will have some more Patreon exclusive videos coming out this coming weekend. So anybody curious about either one of those, just check the description down below. And let's get into this email. So let's take a look here. So this email comes from JP. JP, thank you very much for sending it to us. And it's just a couple of quick questions related to, like I said, dealing. So the first one is how to properly break down and pay multicolored bets on both the pass line and the don't pass. Okay, so I'm going to mark the point as 9, and let's go ahead and do, say, a quarter. Let's say a quarter pass line, and I'm going to just kind of randomly grab a couple of chips here to, actually let me do it even better. Let me do it this way. Grab some random chips. This could end up being improper. No big deal. This is definitely going to be over most places maximum odds, but that's just beside the point. We're dealing with the odds here. So got it back there. You guys can see that. Okay. Now, when I do this, I'm probably going to move this out. We would actually do it back behind the line, but I'll move it out so you guys can see it. Actually, let me see if I can tilt the camera a little bit. There we go. Okay, so let me move this over here. All right, so we get a winner 9. So what are we going to do? Well, we have to pay the odds first, so we're not even going to touch the flat bet. We're not even going to touch the pass line bet. We're going to deal with the odds. So we're going to start off by breaking it down. Now, what you will learn at a dealer school is that you break it down directly behind each one. So technically, this one would be broken down as 4 and 1 or 2, 2 and 1. Some places would require 2, 2 and 1. Now, when you were taught how to break down checks, when you have 9 like this one, you would be taught to break it down 4, 4, and 1. And then we've got the white. So this is the technical proper way to break this down. All right, some places, like I said, may force you to do the green 2, 2, and 1. Right, because greens we don't allow as stacks above 5. We do it in hundreds. And then with the red, we would break, technically the proper way is to break it down 4, 4, and 1. So this is the learn it in school, technical, proper, procedural way of breaking this down. In reality, this is not how most dealers are going to break it down. While we break down checks when we're say doing color or something, we would do say a 3, 3, and 1 or a 4, 4, and 1. When we get to things like odds, lays, we tend to break it down the same way that most boxes will break down the checks when we're coloring up for somebody. Because we want to break it down less of a procedural thing for us and more of something that's easy for them to read. And in this case, we often do it a similar way to make it easy to total it up real fast. So a lot of times we would break the green down into hundreds and we would break the reds down into 25s. Right? So even though this is the technically improper way of breaking it down, this would be how we would most likely break it down. Now, the other thing is that we are actually unlikely to break it down directly behind, even though that is, again, the technical proper way of doing it. We're more likely to break it down next to it. And we're probably going to do it something like this, because then it's real easy to read. You've got 250, 65, $268, right? $268. Now, the quickest way to pay this out is, and I promise you I'm not calculating out this pad in my head right now. The quickest way to pay this out is to actually break it down into chunks that are really, really, really easy. So you know that 250 will break down into 375. So you cut out that 375, and then you know that you've got 27 for this final 18. So you know that those odds play 402. And then you would pay it out, just like that. When it comes to lays, you're going to do something very, very similar. If you got it up here, and now they've got a lay that is chunked up like that, you want to break it down, and this time you kind of have to break it down this way. You're technically supposed to stay within the don't pass. Now you could bring it into the come and break it down. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Or you could leave it out here. Now here we would do the exact same thing as we just did. Was I off on that last one? I must have been. Either that or I gained an extra red. We'll go back down to what we were. So we look at it again. $268. $268. Now, again, break this down into something easy that you know. Okay? 240 is something easy. 240 pays 160, right? So you could say, okay, 240 pays 160. Now you have $28 left to deal with. 27 pays 18. That last dollar pays nothing, because that dollar would pay 60 some odd cents, so it pays nothing. So there you go. Now, of course, you could convert this back into the green, and you've got $178. Heal that off right there, and pay it. There you go. Done. And, okay, here's an interesting one. So his next question says, the casino that he is at has a lot of dealers that color up chips when the player is ready to leave. And how do you properly break down the checks to be easily read by the box? Okay. Now, when it comes to color ups, the box is supposed to break down the checks up here. Every so often, especially if we're busy, we've got 7 or 8 color ups going on, people are waiting. If there's an easy one, we'll tell the dealers, hey, break that one down in the cup. So, the technical way to do it, the proper way, let's do it. Let's do this. They bring you color. Okay. Now, it's just like breaking down change. Okay. First off, largest checks go closest to the box. Now, second off, now this is where you get away from the technical way of breaking down checks the way we do in dice. And this is where you start going into manageable, obvious, easy to read chunks. Easy to read, not so much for the box, but it is easier for the box, but for the player. This is how I break these things down. And the reason I break them down this way is because it needs to be easy for the player to see when I point, because I'm going to point and I'm going to read off exactly what they're coloring up, and they can look at it and see that I am telling the truth. So there's 4 blacks right here, right? I'm going to put 4 greens right on top of that. I now know I have a $500 stack. If there were more greens, I would break them down and then I would put them up. Let's say they gave me this to color up. Okay. Well, I would break it down and go, okay, so now we've got a stack of green. Right, there we go. You never go higher than a stack. So you never go higher than a stack of green or a stack of 100 or red or 20 red. So now I get back down to this. So I've got 3 green here. So just like I did here, I'm going to put 5 reds on top. So I know that's an easy 100. So largest checks closest to the box going downwards. And now I can look at the player and go, okay, you have 500, 600, 700, 25, 50, 55, 57. You have $757, sir or ma'am. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut it out of the bank, give it to the dealer who's going to put it in the cum. And 700, what did I say, 757? So I'm going to give it to the dealer who's going to put it out in the cum. 757. Thank you for playing. Good luck to you. Done. Quick, easy, finito. Now the last question. The last question is one that I've gotten once or twice, and it kind of makes me chuckle. And it's something that only the best dealers do. And I'm not saying this is like an elite thing. I'd say probably about 40% of dealers do this once they've been dealing for a while. So the last one is that some casinos have the dealers give back part of the color up. Now here's the thing. If the dealer hands it all the way over to the box, I'm not going to give them checks back out of that color up to give to the player. Right? I'm going to break it all down properly. But if the dealer is paying attention, they will do the job for me. Let's do it this way. Let's see. I want to use the exact dollar amount that they mention in the video. So they mention this. And what they say is that the dealer is going to give back part of this money. Now, the dealer is going to give back part. If they're good, the dealer is going to give back part of this money, but not what JP here is saying. What JP here is saying is a poor box that doesn't know the proper procedure on this, because there's no way to identify part of what he says without having already broken the checks down. So what he is saying is that we would bring it over here, we'd break it down, and then the box would give this part back to the dealer to give back to the player. Abso-frickin-lutely not. Once it is brought over here, oh, I missed one. Once it is brought over here, there it is, it stays here. We will read out to them what they have, that we will cut it out into the cum and give it to them. So there's no way to know that we had those two greens there. But if the dealer is paying attention, when they say, hey, color coming in, and they go to bring it in, they're going to look at it and they're going to go, there you go, sir. And then they're going to bring it to the box. The reason for that is, and I'm going to use those two green that we used also, is let me ask you this. What bigger chips can we make out of any of that? Absolutely nothing. So the dealer should identify that, well, we can't color that up. We can't make a bigger chip out of that, so here you go. Now, in a big stack of green like that, there's no way to tell that you have two extra greens. But there's definitely, you can tell that you have two whites and two reds, and you can do nothing with that. So just give it back. We can't color that up. We can't make that bigger. And it always cracks me up when someone puts down a color like this. Oh, let me get color. And I look at it and I'm like, well, I don't know what bigger chip you think we're going to make out of that dollar. So there's nothing we can do. And then we'll bring in the rest. Right? So that is the reason why some of it gets handed back, because we can't color it up. And if the box is having you do that, the box is not particularly familiar with dice. They don't know dice procedures properly. They were a blackjack or a card floor that learned dice, probably from watching or coming over to the dice pit, so on and so forth. Because when you color up in blackjack, oftentimes you break it down in front of you and then you hand back what cannot be colored up. That is very common in blackjack. But in craps, once it's brought over here and the box cuts it out, they do not return any of it. You should never, ever, 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 ever do that. So I hope this answers your questions, JP. Thank you very, very much for sending us this email. Hope everyone else finds this interesting, illuminating, enlightening, or at least just plain fun. We will catch you next time. Bye now. Okay, everybody, and as promised, all the usual blah blah that I try and do at the beginning of the video, we're going to go ahead and put near the end of the video. And here we go. So thank you, everybody, for your usual patronage. All of you that are patrons of ours, we very, very much appreciate it. Thank you, everybody who's been buying us a cup of coffee. Love to say that it's going to coffee right now, but this month with the entire family out for COVID, it's honestly going to Bill's and probably the kid's birthday in a week. But we definitely appreciate it. We're going to continue working on these live streams. I know you guys have seen some of them popping up. Just got to figure out the look of it, and some of the audio is still giving me issues. But hopefully we'll be getting those live streams and the craps tournaments going as soon as possible. Really just going to depend on scheduling. My schedule changed, Amy's schedule changed, kids' school schedule is fun. So once we figure out exactly how all those schedules are going to work, we'll let everybody know. And otherwise, please continue emailing us with anything you would like to see videoed. And again, thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate every single one of you guys. We'll catch you next time. Bye now.